Hey everybody, I'm Jack Rita. I'm a designer with Future Pastimes and I work on Dune-themed board games and expansions. And in this video, I'm going to be doing a review of an Etsy upgrade for the Ecaz Moritani expansion. So this is the third expansion for the classic Dune board game, the 2019 edition from Gale Force 9. And this expansion comes with a number of tokens. There are ambassador tokens for the Ecaz faction, there are terror tokens for the Moritani faction, and there are also discovery tokens for one of the variants that comes in this expansion. And there's a link in the description to this Etsy shop's page for this particular upgraded version of all the tokens, and I wanted to give people a look at it and let them know what I think of these upgraded components. So I'm going to start off with the Ecaz Ambassador. So this is what the tokens look like in the expansion. So you can see that it's got the ambassador symbol on the backside, and then the front has the ambassador itself. And these are placed on the board face up by the Ecaz player. And they're going to start with 6 of these ambassadors, and 5 of them at random, and then their own Ecaz ambassador. And then each turn they can place 1 or more of these tokens face up in strongholds and trigger them for unique effects. So that's what they look like. They're pretty good size. They get placed in the strongholds. And the upgraded ones are bigger. So you can see here is a comparison on there. They're also thicker. So these are plexiglass, but they look really great. So it's a really nice, if you take a look here, it really looks like a nice cloth banner hanging down. And there's an added element here of some iconography to help remind you of what the effects are. So for the Fremen ambassador, if this is triggered, it lets the Ecaz player move forces on the board from where they are to any territory, with occupancy and storm restrictions normally applying. You can see here with the Atreides ambassador that you get to see the hand of the player that triggers them. And I should point out that if it's the actual faction on there, they don't trigger these things. This one's kind of fun. So the actual Ecaz ambassador, one of the things that it can do is you can form an alliance, or you can get Duke Vidal, and there's a little tiny Duke Vidal on there. So these are pretty spectacular, but I will say they are big. There are some people who think that the ones in the expansion itself are a little big for the strongholds for the board that comes with the base game, particularly if you've got like 2 factions are in there, maybe you have advisors. You might have a terror token, and you're like, oh, now we have an ambassador as well, and it gets very crowded very quickly. I, as many of you probably know, have a giant-sized playmat version of the board. It's even bigger than the one that Gale Force 9 offers on the vinyl playboard. Mine is it's a much thicker one, and it's basically 2 of these giant mats that are half of the board, and put them together, and it's enormous. So these actually work very well on my giant playmat. So the quality is great. They look awesome. I love the iconography as well, and so I will happily be using these. For you, it's going to be a judgment call. I know that there's a number of other larger playmat solutions that are out there, and a number of people who like to bling up their Dune experience have already made that leap. The other thing I will mention is that next year, of course, Gale Force 9 is doing their Kwisatz Haderach edition of Dune, which is going to include a lot of upgraded components, so they may do something like this. But they are also talking about a much larger board. They're even also talking about a 3D board, which I'm not sure how that's going to work. I imagine that there's a desert layer, and then maybe the rock layer is bigger, but hopefully still a little bit flat on the top. Maybe the edges are rough and rocky looking, but you're still going to put forces on there. You don't want them to tip over, and then maybe the strongholds are inset a little bit. Who knows? I look forward to seeing how that works, but if it's bigger, then something like a larger ambassador token shouldn't be an issue. And Yeah, I really like these, so I look forward to having these large ambassadors on the plexiglass in the game. They're gorgeous, and I actually even also I made smaller versions of these. If for some reason I am using the board with the smaller solution, I have a smaller version, and it's actually round tokens that I can use for that. But again, I probably... I'm going to stick to these big plexiglass ones and use my giant size playmat. Let's go over to the Moritani side. So this is what the terror tokens look like in the actual expansion. So the backs of them have this, and then you've got the symbol for the effect. And if you have read the prequel books, you'll know this is the assassination one. You'll understand what that shape means. It's very thematic to the books. Here is what the tokens look like with the plexiglass. So again, you can see it's a nice thick, it's a good quality. So they are bigger. And again, if the fitting them in the stronghold is a concern, this is certainly much bigger. It's going to take up a lot of space on the normal board, but I have the extra large board. So these actually work just fine. And then on the back, you've got the effect. So there you can see atomics, boom. That is a great one. And of course, it does come with an atomics aftermath token as well that is placed in the stronghold that was blown up to remind players that you cannot ship directly to that stronghold. It still counts as a stronghold for the win, and you can move into it, but you can't ship directly into it. It's just too much cloud and debris and radiation, and there's no infrastructure for landing the ships, and the airfield is gone. So that's what all this represents. So I think these are also fantastic. The quality is really nice. I love the thick plexiglass. I cannot wait to get this on the table for Dune Day weekend coming up in May as of this recording. So for posterity, it was great. So that is that's what the terror tokens look like. Yeah, there's the big assassination one. So yeah, these are great. And then finally, we're going to take a look at the discovery token. So here again is what the discovery token looks like in the base game. So it is bigger than the terror tokens. These are pretty small. These actually probably could have been bigger because a number of them are locations. So this shrine, when revealed, will remain on the board, and it will be a location that you can have up to 2 factions into. So that's a tight squeeze right there. So this is what they look like in the plexiglass. So it's a little bit better. It's definitely bigger. And I think this will be a much better solution for people using the normal board with their forces. There's the shrine again. So it looks great. Nice, thick plexiglass. It'll be easier to fit on there. I, of course, have the giant token. So here's how mine compares to the one in the game. You can see it's absurdly large, but there's no question about getting 2 forces in there. Plus, I've got the plastic insert things for the token, so they're already bigger. So I think that probably I will use the giant token. What I might do is I might have these as the markers, and when it gets revealed, I'll just put the larger one down on my giant playmat. And maybe at some point Zoltan will offer an even larger one, or maybe, again, he'll go out of his way if I say, look, I'd like to order a larger one. He does have the large plexiglass tech tokens, so these are even bigger, so it's I think it won't be that big of a deal for him to make that happen. It doesn't have to do this crazy gear shape, just a circle that is about this big for the discovery tokens themselves. But this is highly recommended. This is probably worth the price of admission just by itself for the larger tech tokens. So you can see these are some of the smuggler ones. You've got the ornithopter, you've got the Orgies processing station. And so, yeah, I like these, and I'm going to use most of them. I probably will use all of them in some capacity, but like I said, I'll do a little switcheroo if it's a location. 3 of the discovery tokens are not locations, so things like the ornithopter, for example, once revealed, you're just going to have it. So this will actually be nicer to have as a marker to know I've got the ornithopter and I can hold on to that until I intend to use it. So that will be that'll be nice to have on there. So yeah, I will use these as the markers on the board when they're discovered. I'll replace the locations with the bigger token just so that I can fit my absurdly large forces on my absurdly large board. So there you have it. Let me know if you have any other questions about this particular Etsy upgrade that you can get. I think it's very reasonably priced, and I love the quality, and I've done a number of other reviews for some of the blinged up Dune components that you can get. So those are easy to find in the reviews playlist here on my channel. And yeah, check those out. And if you've gotten these, let me know what you think. And let me know if you are using the larger tokens on your board. If you don't have the giant board, what is that experience like for you? Do people have an issue? I mean, it's not like you have to stick this ambassador smack dab in the middle of the stronghold. They can only be in stronghold. So if you've got it like sitting on the board, sort of more in the desert, and the corner of it is in the stronghold, it should be pretty obvious which stronghold it is associated with. And it's hard to miss, like, oh, I forgot there was an ambassador there. That's not going to happen. So I think it will be fine. Even if I didn't have the giant board, I probably would use all of these upgraded components. So I think they're worth it. It gets my full endorsement. And like I said, let me know your thoughts in the comments. And again, if you have any questions, I'm happy to answer those. That is it for this one, everybody. Thanks for watching, and we'll see you again soon.